that we exist to make connections. We exist to amplify the messages of people's innovation. We are not here as much to promote world creativity as we are here to promote the Pontiac Incubator and connect you with other incubators, and for you to say, this is what we're doing, and what can we learn from what you're doing, and what can you learn from us? And we would love during the World Creativity Week to host some kind of a world conversation about the small city, or not small city, but the small city incubators. And you know.
Awesome.
Well, one of the things that I love about what you guys do, and would love for you to spread the word, is that innovation. We got a lot of people who talk about innovation in the educational space. We have a lot of people who talk about education in the digital marketing space. We don't have a lot of people who come to us talking about innovation within the community space. How can we build our communities? How can we innovate within our communities? How can we become partners with, I don't know, Ford, and have them help build the innovation, not just because they want innovative cars, but they want innovative communities that are great places to work and great places to innovate.
What we're witnessing is really stellar performances by young people who are just given the opportunity in filmmaking and digital, just off the charts, no problem. But there's no curriculum. There's no embodiment of knowledge building, and yet all of technology is now drifting to the curiosity, which is the mandate for creativity, which leads to the gateway to imagination and innovation. We don't teach. We absolutely have no room for that in our K-12 environment.
Very old, but I've been in a classroom for 46 years.
Wow.
And yeah, I know.
You've seen some things.
I've seen some things, and it is amazing now how our students the creativity is even more dramatically taught out of them.
Yeah.
And it is for a variety of reasons. It used to be for a reason or two, and now it's an epidemic.
Wow.
They come in afraid to make a decision. They come in afraid to make a mistake. They come in unprepared to think for themselves. They come in unwilling to organize for themselves. Our educational system, and it's interesting with all the work that's pretended in trying to stem the tide, that it got worse.
Yeah, they're disempowered.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, 100%. Interestingly, from our perspective, from World Creativity's perspective, the Ministry of Education in Costa Rica has now made World Creativity and Innovation Week something in all of the schools every year, that they are trying to change. We have absolutely. It is happening in several schools outside of Bogota, Colombia. It is happening in schools down in Chile. We are making inroads significantly in the Latin American countries. Not as much in North America.
The timing is everything, and Detroit's ripe right now, and I say that because it has had nothing for decades. I would say since the 60s, and this is that moment. In Michigan, and the governor have finally recognized. I mean, we're 36 in the world, and we're 42nd in the United States, in Michigan. And so she's put out a report, making this condition known. And she recognizes, because our population is disappearing. I mean, our kids aren't staying here, they're leaving.
Yeah.
And they're leaving in droves because there's nothing here. We're one-dimensional. Nobody wants to work in the automotive factory.
Yeah.
That's a problem. That is a huge problem. So she has written this report, which is called Growing Michigan Together, which is an interesting concept. Growing it in what fashion? Growing it for what purpose? The way we see this thing unfolding is this very diversified opportunities that are just now unfolding. And then I'll just give you an example as to the elements that I was speaking of earlier. Okay, all happening simultaneously with no community buy-in. This is all outside of community. Bill Ford has said, and I think he's holding to it, that he expects to find the next great thing on the bottom floor of the Michigan Central train station. And it doesn't mean that they built that. It means that somebody showed up. Right. And he will find them or meet them. And I think the kind of thing that we're talking about lends itself to that. I think the other piece of that, when we start talking about relationship building, is a university. So we're working with Wayne State because it's the right thing. And the University of Michigan is going to build an innovation center in downtown Detroit. But that's probably a year or two or three off, depending on Steve Ross's wallet.
Yeah, I'm wondering what an innovation center really means.
And I think Wayne State is that rare thing that brings and builds community in a place that doesn't honor community.
I got a call about 3 years ago from a woman whose name is Ambassador Rhonda King. Out of the blue, and I'm serious, out of the blue, the ambassador called me. She's the permanent representative to the United Nations from St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And she said, traditional thinking will not help us out of the mess that we're in now. I found your website because I was looking for a way to bring using creativity in problem solving to the United Nations. May I have your permission to make World Creativity and Innovation Day a UN Day of Observance? I said yes. And so 3 years later, actually this happened this past April 27th. She said this as she's presenting the resolution that was sponsored by over 90 nations on the floor of the UN General Assembly. I welled up. I don't know if I will today too.
Few attributes of human performance have as much impact on our lives and our world as creativity. Outstanding achievement in the arts and science is held to depend on creativity. Creativity has been linked to the development of new social institutions and the leadership of extant institutions. Moreover, creativity has been shown to play a role in entrepreneurial activities and long-term economic growth. Developed and developing countries around the world are recognizing the utility in these research findings and are embracing the idea that our creative capital is our most valuable asset today. This is on the floor of the United Nations. We agree also that it is an asset that should be deployed in the implementation of Agenda 2030. It is befitting, therefore, that more than 80 member states thus far have joined today in calling for
April 21st to be designated World Creativity and Innovation Day.
I don't know if you're familiar with the Sustainable Development Goals that the United Nations brought forward in 2015. When Ambassador King told me about the Sustainable Development Goals, I was a little embarrassed. I hadn't known about them. And when I saw this, have you ever been on a floor where there's glass and a far way down to the ground? The CN Tower, perhaps? Something like that. When I saw this, my jaw dropped, my stomach dropped. Because what she's advocating and what she has brought to the United Nations is using creativity in problem solving to meet all of these goals. And when I saw this, I went, holy Toledo, this is all of life on our planet. We have a day. Antonio Guterres, who is the Secretary General of this session of the United Nations General Assembly, said at the beginning and the opening of the Assembly that the purpose for the United Nations is to create a decent life for all on a sustainable planet. We have a responsibility to help there be an environment, besides climate, an environment where new thinking is welcome, where people feel confident putting their ideas forward, where conversations can be held, where we can usher in and help to usher in the age of social responsibility and helping people to relate to each other as humans and to communicate effectively. So we can move away from the age of how much do you earn and what do you do for work, towards, and how are you helping us to reach these goals? We have a day, April 21st, every year. This year, the United Nations will be celebrating it for the first time. It began in 2001 because of a banner headline. And who knew where it would lead to? My invitation to you is 3 people, spread the word, 3 people. Talk to them, talk it up. My ask is for you, do something new and different to keep the energy alive and going. We're in very interesting times right now, and there's lots of opportunity for new thinking, new innovations, and the thing is, we already have the capacity, so why don't we just use it? Thank you.